Hello. From Mayor of Wilkinsburg to founder and CEO of a nonprofit. We'll talk to Marita Garrett about her efforts to help revitalize Wilkinsburg civically. Plus, there's an upcoming event aimed at bringing families together, parents and youth, to talk about mental wellness. The organizer joins us. And Tina Turner was a dynamic performer who raised the bar to become the queen of rock and roll. Well, there's a Tina Turner tribute taking the stage soon at the Kelly Strayhorn Theater. We'll talk to one of the performers. So pull up a chair and meet us at the corner. Intersection starts right now. Hello, I'm Lisa Smith, Director of Community Impact at KDKA Plus and the host of Intersections. Marita Garrett spent 4 years as a member of the Wilkinsburg Borough Council, 4 years as Wilkinsburg Mayor, and she is the founding president and CEO of a nonprofit called Civically. Now, through the nonprofit, she's working on several initiatives to increase Wilkinsburg's sustainability. Marita Garrett, welcome to Intersections.
Thank you so much, Lisa, for having me today.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about Civically. What exactly is it and what do you do?
Yes, so Civically is a nonprofit where we focus on community development, but in terms of addressing and meeting the basic needs of community members while also promoting community and civic engagement and outreach. And so I'm the founding president and CEO of it and actually established it during my tenure as mayor of Wilkinsburg.
Yeah, so what were you seeing at that time that you said, wow, we need something else that will help this community?
Yeah, well, so much, because as we know, government doesn't move maybe as fast as we want it to move. So starting off as council and then going into mayor, you know, the needs that needed to be addressed maybe more immediately, as opposed to some of the things of passing the ordinance and laws that take processes, which are so important because you need that. Government isn't necessarily meant to move fast. So launching that nonprofit was an answer to seeing, you know, some of my community members. Well, first of all, let me just back up a little bit. Wilkinsburg is a vulnerable community. We are a majority Black population municipality and considered economically distressed. Thankfully, there's so many great efforts to revitalize Wilkinsburg in our region, and I'm proud of Civically being a part of that. So through that, seeing that, you know, maybe there was a disconnect between some of our residents and council and or different public officials. Also, maybe residents weren't sure of all the resources that Wilkinsburg had to offer. So how can we just plant that in maybe one specific place? So that's where the Free Store started, Free Store Wilkinsburg rather, in 2015. Then that led to our monthly produce distributions where we give out free fresh produce, because as we know that, especially with inflation now, that the price of produce and foods have become so much. So then that addresses the direct needs, but yet we want our folks to recognize their value as social change agents, so getting them a part of the community and civic process. So Civically is a play on being civically engaged as well as a civic ally.
Yeah, so when you're saying all this, I'm like, okay, so which was more busy, being mayor or being the CEO?
Right, yeah.
How did you balance all of that?
Yeah. I don't know. I was actually, you know, reflecting. I'm like, how did I balance it? But I think because the tie is the same, you know, it was the dedication to my community. It was, you know, public services in my DNA. So it was just kind of a multi-prong effect. I never thought like, okay, I have to take off my mayor hat and put on my Civically hat, because it was all just tied together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit more about the different elements that you are able to kind of bring forth through Civically. You already mentioned there's a fresh market.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about how that operates and what is that need that you're seeing being fulfilled by what you're doing?
Yes. So with the fresh market, part of the need was that we were considered a food desert, Wilkinsburg. So, you know, you have multiple fast food restaurants and different convenience stores in Wilkinsburg, but as far as access to quality, healthy produce, that was something that was lacking. So the Community Food Bank reached out to us, and we actually launched the first fresh market or produce distribution in Wilkinsburg. So we started that in 2018, and then like most nonprofits, most like everyone, at the pandemic hits, and it's just, everyone's paycheck to paycheck. People are losing jobs. The world's kind of at a standstill. So during the height of the pandemic, we actually were operating at some points weekly. Now, coming out of the height of the pandemic, we're to monthly, but there's still a need because, as we know, costs haven't gone down, jobs haven't come all the way back, and kind of workforce looks different now. So there's just a need that I feel that anyone that's why we also say produce for all, because there's not one type of person who we expect to utilize our services. We all can benefit from the direct access and addressing those basic needs that Civicly does.
Yeah. The other thing you have now is this career closet.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about that and how that operates and how that really also meets needs.
Yes. So I'm really excited about the career closet. We launched that in August of last year. And how that came about is now we're getting back to going to the office and workforce. So now there is the need for professional workwear at no cost, but even more, what does it look like to re-enter the workforce development, start a new career? So thankfully, we've been able to partner with a wonderful doctoral student who provides career coaching at no cost. So that includes interview prep and resume review, those types of things.
And then you also now have the Hunter Building. Tell us about that and the redevelopment of that building.
Yeah, so I'm really excited. I'm excited about all our programs, but the Hunter Building, really, that's the crux of it, because while we talk about community and civic engagement, it's so important to have that economic independence. So with the Hunter Building, it's the largest commercial building in downtown Wilkinsburg, and we were able to acquire it 5 years ago. And what we want to see is really reinvesting into our own community, and especially community-led development. So when we're talking about that, we're talking about reactivating the space, adding some vibrancy to Wilkinsburg. Wilkinsburg really is the gateway to so many different communities. Who doesn't travel down Penn Avenue or Wood Street? So in a way, all roads lead to Wilkinsburg. So we really want to capitalize on that while giving our community something to invest in and be proud of. So what we envision, the building is 22,000 square feet, and we're envisioning space for a professional office space, and then also for the first floor, which is kind of considered your prime retail. That's where we would like to see MWDBE businesses get in there. So those of our community to be supported and have a space to promote their entrepreneurship or small business endeavors.
Okay, well, we only have about a minute left, and we want to make sure that we talk about your fundraiser that's coming up. And
Yes.
It is an adult spelling bee. I've never heard anybody do an adult spelling bee. Most of us are intimidated by spelling, but tell us a little bit about this event.
Yes, well, as a former spelling bee champion, reliving my glory days, I can't participate, but it's just fun. We're talking about civic engagement, those types of things, and literacy of all sorts, but specifically civic social literacy. But getting to just spelling fun, something that now we're adults, we're not necessarily doing in front of our whole school. And we have a great partner in St. Clair Social where we have it. So it's taking place Thursday, March 21st. I hope you'll participate, even if you won't be a contestant, but definitely come check it out. And it's our 5th annual one. It's really become a staple in this region where people just get so excited about it and competitive. So for the folks listening, there are cash prizes, so it's worth definitely coming through and participating.
All right, well, it sounds like a fun event, and you guys are doing so much here in Wilkinsburg, and we congratulate you on everything you're doing. We have the information about the spelling bee. We'll also make sure that we put some of that information on our website. Thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Well, coming up next, bringing families together to discuss mental wellness intersections. We'll be right back. Well, from the White House to major healthcare organizations, many say our nation is facing a mental health crisis. So how do we address it and help families get the support they need? That is the goal of an upcoming event. It's called NAMI Ending the Silence Family Wellness Night. Of course, NAMI stands for the National Alliance on Mental Illness. And joining us to talk about this event is Ikea Craig Swatson. She is the Community Specialist and Safe Coordinator for NAMI Keystone, Pennsylvania. Welcome to Intersection.
Thank you for having me, Lisa. I'm glad to be here.
Yes, and so this is such an important, issue to talk about, and it's a different kind of event. I think it's the first time you guys are holding it, right?
Yes.
So, yeah, tell us about this. It's the Wellness Night.
Yes, so Ending the Silence is actually a NAMI program. It's a NAMI initiative that is actually nationwide. Now, we took it and made it a family wellness night because we wanted to find a way to bring both youth and their parents and educators together in the same room to champion the message of health and healing for our youth and adolescents.
Yeah, so
yeah.
tell us a little bit about what's going to be happening in this time that everyone's going to be together.
Yes, so mental health, as you mentioned, is something that is becoming more of a conversation that we're having. And while we have made many strides in having these conversations, there's still some room to relieve the stigma and to even remove the shame and end the silence. So what we intend to do is really normalize the conversation of wellness among youth and adolescents. So there will be a presentation as well as some facts and data, some statistics, understanding some resources of recovery, and then we're going to follow it with a testimony from a youth or young adult who has walked through the journey of mental wellness and recovery.
Yeah. So talk about what's kind of happening right now.
Yeah.
In terms of knowledge of what to do, are parents and kids talking, who's doing the speaking, and what's missing?
So the good thing is it's becoming a more normalized conversation. We're hearing more about mental health in a lot of places. We see that the Surgeon General just did a whole article on it last year, an advisory about youth mental health as it relates to social media. And so people are having the conversations. Some of the gaps can be just the consistency of really the message being championed in all areas around youth, because the common community for youth is going to be home and family, it's going to be school and educators, and it's going to be their social support system, which is usually their peers. So the gaps are sometimes the peers are saying different things than the parents, and the parents are saying different things than the educators. So what we want to do at Ending the Silence is get us all on the same page, get all of those who are important to youth in a room together and champion the same message. So I think that that's probably one of the most important things, is that we have the same message that youth are hearing, that it's not abnormal, that you are not alone to feel. If you feel something that may be depression or anxiety, and understanding too that 1 in 6 youth is diagnosed with a mental health condition, but only 50% of youth are getting the support that they need. Yeah. So those are the gaps that we want to be in to fill by creating a culture of safety and normalization of these topics.
Yeah, we had talked earlier, and one of the things that struck me when we were talking was that the peers seem to be talking,
yes,
but the adults aren't talking
to
their kids. So what is what are those tools, some of those tools that you will be able to offer to like the parents and the educators around how to have that conversation?
Yeah, so one of the things that we want parents to first think about is their own mental health, because some parents also are struggling in silence and don't know where to go or who to talk to. So it's important to normalize the conversations of parents getting the help that they need. And then there are many resources out there. So we provide, of course, things locally and nationally from 988. So many people haven't heard of 988, which is the hotline for wellness and mental health. And it's not strictly for suicide prevention only, because sometimes people feel like you have to be in a crisis. You do not have to be in a crisis to call 988. And so what we really want to provide the parents with is just, again, the tools to have these conversations, and then the tools to also address their own mental health as well. So what we start off with is like some of the data, the statistics. We talk about the signs and the symptoms, because sometimes what looks like, just withdrawal or just, an attitude can be a sign of a youth encountering a mental health condition. And so what we want is these caring adults to be as informed and then as relaxed about the conversation too, because sometimes it can be intimidating to have these conversations, but realize most youth just want presence. Most youth just want to be heard. And this is the space that we really, want to create that culture of that ecosystem of support for youth.
Yeah, and we continue to hear about youth suicide, and I know that that's something that is still going to be addressed
Yes.
in this session.
Yes, it will be. And sometimes with suicide, people tend to shy away from the conversation, and it makes sense because it is a very sensitive and serious conversation, but it's best to talk about. The evidence shows that it's better to talk about it than avoid it. Because a lot of times, it's easy to sort of not confront it directly, but asking the right questions will oftentimes lead a youth to reveal into a space of recovery.
Yeah. Well, we're going to put the information on our screen. It's called NAMI, Ending the Silence Family
Yes.
Wellness Night. We also have the QR code that you can use to get registered for
Yes.
this event. It is on March 14th at 6 p.m. at the Energy Innovation Center on Bedford Avenue.
That's right.
Thank you so much, Ikea, for
Thank
being
you
with us.
so much for
We appreciate
having
the
me.
information. It's very important. Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, coming up, where you can see a tribute to the Queen of Rock and Roll. Intersections. We'll be right back. Well, from Proud Mary to Private Dancer, Tina Turner's music has been the soundtrack for many for more than 50 years. Of course, we lost her last year, but events like the one coming up at the Kelly Strayhorn Theater keep us singing her songs. Joining me today are Joseph Hall, he is the executive director of the Kelly Strayhorn Theater, and Chanel C.J. Harris, the lead vocalist for Simply the Best, a Tina Turner tribute concert with Dwayne Fulton. Welcome to Intersections.
Thanks so much for having us.
Yes,
you.
well,
Thank
thanks
you
for
for
coming. Now, we talked earlier, and I said, oh, this is going to be easy.
It's juicy.
I mean, because, who doesn't love Tina Turner? So, Joseph, tell us a little bit about how this tribute concert kind of came about.
Yeah, I'd love to. I mean, as you know, our namesakes are Gene Kelly and Billy Strayhorn, both legendary artists from Pittsburgh. And we've been celebrating Billy Strayhorn's music since 2008.
Yeah.
So it's really in the DNA of Kelly Strayhorn. And for the last 3 years, we've been celebrating other artists. We started with Prince. That was packed house. It was incredible. Of course, Aretha Franklin.
Yes.
And this year it's Tina Turner, and it's been led by Dwayne Fulton, musical
Yeah.
director at Mount Ararat Baptist Church.
Yeah.
And he really brings such a large vision. And this year we're fortunate to work with Chanel as well as the lead vocalist.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about Dwayne and what he kind of brought to this particular show.
Yeah, I mean, we've been working with him since Prince, and that was really his idea. That was an idea that came to Kelly Strayhorn Theater. He was always passionate about the music of Prince. And then we said to Dwayne, this has been great.
Yeah.
And folks have really responded to it. Let's do it again. And this year, of course, with the passing of Tina Turner, we thought it was prime time to really celebrate her legacy
Yeah.
for the many things that she represents. What Dwayne brings is years and years of experience
Right.
of music directing.
Yeah.
I mean, he's done so many projects here in Pittsburgh, ranging from the opera and beyond, and also national projects. I think he was just in California recently working on a project. So we're really lucky to work with him.
Yeah. So Chanel,
Yes, ma'am.
I guess you are going to be the Tina Turner personality on the stage, I suppose.
Well, every now and then, I gotta zhuzh it up. Yes, and I'm excited to do it.
Yeah. How do you capture the essence of Tina?
A lot of research, and our energy is just kind of parallel. So she has a lot of energy, I have a lot of energy, and I watch her and I feed off of that. So being in my 40s, her getting her big break in her 40s, that's how you kind of capture. It's like, wait, there's some symmetry here. There's definitely some essence, and I'm excited, and to be back home in my hometown. I've spent many years in Los Angeles, so to be back here and to do it, I'm like, I just got to find the right shoes. I'm ready.
Yeah. So we're showing those pictures that you had where you were kind of having your Tina Turner moment there.
Yes, yes. I did that in LA. I went for my birthday last month. Me and my daughter, and my girlfriend was like, take the pictures here. Why wouldn't you get your pictures done in LA? I was like, yeah, light bulb moment. Why wouldn't I when I have you to do hair, makeup, and everything else? So it worked out.
So tell me, how much of an influence has Tina Turner been for you in your career doing what you do?
So, happy Women's History Month. Let's start there. This is a prime time for that conversation and that question. So the influence is definitely, I understand what it means to be behind a man in the industry and wanting to have something to say and wanting to speak your own voice and have your own truth. And, and this time I was really able to dive into the creativity, and I watched a lot of her interviews where she just wasn't listened to, and it's like, well, I've said all I said about that. I don't really want to talk about that anymore. I would love to do this, and people didn't take her seriously because they wanted to, put her in a box. I understand firsthand what that feels like, and just having to kind of bite your tongue, and until you can get into a position where it's like, okay, I can really make this go the way that it is in my brain, and it can come out, and I'm just, that is. I just can't wait for that.
Yeah. And so it sounds like this is going to be a little bit of her story in addition to the music. Is that kind of how this is going to come together?
Yes, we've weaving in some video, to kind of tell a story, and maybe his wonderful team, there'll be, maybe some subtitles and really creatively done, and then from that comes a music piece, and it'll kind of all tie together, but mainly talking about her being the best. These are her simply the best moments. No trauma.
Yeah.
Even though we know the trauma story, but this is about simply the best.
Yeah.
And what I love about these concerts is not only are we kind of really embodying the artists and their legacy, but we're also really bragging about talent that's right here in Pittsburgh. Phenomenal artists who have their own careers, their own canon, their own artistry that they're bringing not only to Pittsburgh, but really around the world. So, when you see Chanel on stage singing Tina Turner, Chanel is also being Chanel,
Yeah.
also
Thank you.
bringing her brilliance to the stage, as well as every other artist that you'll see.
Well, it sounds like a fabulous show, and we're going to put the information up on the screen. Again, it is called Simply the Best, a Tina Turner tribute concert with Dwayne Fulton. It is Saturday, March 16th at 7:30 at the Kelly Strayhorn Theater, of
You got
course.
it.
And tickets are still available.
They're still available now. We'll
Now.
see.
You better hurry. Thank you both so much for being here. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. And I'll have my last word when we come back. Community is essential to our well-being. It includes vibrant activities, bustling businesses, quality schools, well-maintained homes, and friendly neighbors. So when you look around, do you like the community you see? Are you involved in efforts to make things better so that everyone benefits? Community isn't only what you see, it's also what you do. Civically, NAMI and the Kelly Strayhorn Theater showed us things they're doing to add to the value of the community. And communities are at their best when we're working to make them greater. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on Intersections.